Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Midnight Texas. Holy crap, a crazy episode with a lot of stuff that went down, so let's break everything down. First off, you had Manfred going up against Kai, and I was like, yo! And Kai's like, you know what, how about I just take your ability? And then, Patience stopped them. First, I was kind of like, wait, because later on she made an explanation. There's a lot of stuff they didn't add out about. I was kind of like, okay, something's up with Patience. Just because it's like, wait, you stopped him from taking Manfred's power. Is that just because you're like, no, you don't want him to take it? Or it's like, do you need that to happen for some reason? It just something didn't seem right. Because I knew in my heart, I was like, Kai didn't do this. But then certain things happened, and I'm like, oh, wait, I guess maybe Kai did do it. Because all at the same time you have... I was wondering why she was doing that for so long, the whole... Fiji pretending to be good. I was like, why would you even do that, the whole Bobo thing? I guess it's like, as long as she kept him occupied, kept everyone thinking she was still herself, she can kind of do whatever she wanted to, because if people knew, they would try and save her, try to fix the situation. So I guess that's why. It is kind of interesting, because it never crossed my mind. I knew she was faking it and everything, but I didn't realize, oh yeah, the reason why the curse doesn't affect her anymore isn't trying to kill Bobo anymore. It's because she doesn't love him anymore. It's like, it never crossed my mind to even think about it, because even the trickster I talked about, you stopped giving a damn about anyone in this town. I was like, that was the key to point out, that's what was really going down. And I was like, it's so interesting. That's that's an interesting way to kind of deal with that curse. It's not like the curse is ever completely dealt with. It's just kind of because you don't love him anymore, you don't have to worry about it. The whole point was trying to make it so Bobo wouldn't love you. So now this ended up being the opposite to what she was trying to do before. So then she starts hooking up the vampires, and I'm like it's like you're going out of your way to attract a whole bunch of supernaturals. You're collecting stuff for Kai, because it turns out that the curse is some 70 by 7 times beasts. No, 70 times 7 beasts. Sorry, that's what the whole head situation is. And it turns out that head is Theopolis, and it's like, okay, so everything that seemed like it might have been separate things going on at the same time have just merged and become the same story, which is so fascinating. Because now it's okay, then there's all this stuff about Fiji. It's they see that little shrine she's got, and it's wait, how did I not know about this? Bobo's what's going on? She's got collection of our hair, got Lem's blood. It's she was planning something. Luckily, they ended up showing all that, but it's what the hell did Fiji have in mind? Was she planning on killing all of them? Probably having fun her own sadistic way. Either way, I was that's sad, because Bobo did not realize that was going on. I mean, to be fair, we don't know the time frame between episodes and stuff like that, so Fiji might have been like this for a while now. There's definitely been a good chunk of time passed in between, so that adds this fascinating level to it too, that none of them knew what was really going on. To be fair, Fiji was pretending to act like herself. Oh, she was so hurt at Creek's funeral and everything. Oh, I'm just so sad, I'm so distraught. It's I could tell it's all an act. I was wondering what she was up to, and I was turns out all that. The reason why I continue to know Patience was okay, something's up. It's because she started spewing all that stuff to Kai. It's okay, yes, that happened between us, but you weren't there for me. You put other people's needs before my own. And the fact of the matter is, it's what happened between me and Manfred meant nothing. I was the way you make it sound to Manfred, it meant something. And it's just the way she was talking like that. And she was oh, please don't give up on me. I'm I don't, I did, it's like I said, just, it didn't sit right with me, because in my head I was it had to be Patience. And what was also interesting too is her putting that necklace on Manfred was another key sign, because she's oh please, it mean the world to me. Even though Manfred was oh yeah, as a gypsy, I know these amulets don't do anything, but she's insisting on them. Okay, it was just one suspicious thing after another in that regard. I was okay, so what's going on here? But then you had the twist of it being Fiji killed Creek. What? That's crazy. So it's wait, so she's... Because it fed into the whole, well, she is helping out Kai and everything, potentially. If it is him, I was oh, maybe I got this whole Patience thing wrong. But then it's boom, no, you idiot. You 100% nailed it. It was Patience. Not for necessarily the reasons I thought she would, because I thought oh, was she very possessive? Was she, wanted Manfred for herself? That was kind of my justification for it, which technically was true. But it's more so she is Theophilus's twin. Because they were separated, but when they come together, darkness falls. It's a whole situation, which is wow, that's crazy. Because like they kept putting up the whole Kai thing. It's like, oh, is it her brother Kai? It's like, I don't know. I'm like, it's Theophilus's twin brother Kai. And I was like, the fact is, you keep saying that. I was like, please drop the hint that it's going to be Patience, that the twin is actually a girl. But I guess it's like so much time has passed, no one really knows, because the name was forgotten and stuff like that. So probably the gender was too. So they probably forgot it was actually a twin sister instead of a twin brother. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. Because I was waiting for it to be like, no, he didn't have a twin brother, he had a twin sister. I thought it was kind of going to potentially get dropped then. So I guess in the long run, that also explains why she was like, oh, we need to make things up and like, you know, make good with our neighbors again, because it's like we need to be good with them so we can get them to come here so we can take their supernatural powers, because like you need an army, you know, of the supernatural to break that. And he's got like a whole bunch of vials of all the supernatural essences he's taken from people. So, and it's so interesting that both Manfred and Kai were so deluded by how they felt about Patience that neither one was seeing that they were being heavily manipulated. Because I think in the long run, it is a situation of, even as powerful as she is, even she kind of got played in that whole situation, because she didn't want Kai to be pissed at her, because if Kai was pissed about the whole Manfred thing, he'd bail out of helping her under her circumstances. So it's like, that's what you were really more so concerned about during that whole trickster situation. That's what that's all about. So I thought that was kind of fascinating when you think about that in retrospect like that. I mean, it's also interesting too, because it's that thing of like Kokonar, like I guess like, you know, even with the veil closed, like that energy that is Midnight Texas and the supernatural energies of it still continue to draw supernaturals in, and I guess it should be no surprise that it drew Patience as well. For about like witches, their weakness being iron, I had no idea about that. That was kind of interesting. Also, like the whole black salt, stopping evil, which is kind of interesting. I mean, to be fair, well, that I'm thinking of salt, and that just mainly works for just ghosts in general. But it's like, man, like I said, I just wasn't expecting everything to kind of be woven together like it was. Like Manfred and Kai were coming blows to blows, and I was like I said, I knew it. It wasn't the circumstances I thought they would be. But that old Patience thing is a trip, dude. It's like, you're such an idiot, Kai. You've been feeding into her lies. I mean, to be fair, Manfred was caught up in it too, because it's like, oh, her intentions are pure. I mean, she is a witch, so she probably like knew what they were planning, and so she fiddled with it to make it seem like she had the best intentions. I guess maybe she kind of messed with it in the sense of being like, oh, I'm just trying to save my brother, so that's the best intentions, even though there's evil about it. So I doubt that, but I guess that could be a justification for it. It's most likely, and the simplest thing is probably she's a witch, so she messed with things. So but sadly, it was actually Fiji. She didn't kill Creek, but she is the one who burned her bones to make sure that she moved on and didn't get a chance to talk to Manfred. So there's that. Well, it was also a weird little thing in the episode was the whole that shaman Kiva calling Zelda a tramp because like Zelda won her eye in a bet, and also and then Manfred was like, "Hey, don't you talk smack about my grandmother like that." Or something like that. And then she possesses Manfred's body so that Lemuel can start giving her foot massage. I also love when they were looking up stuff about, like, you know, the head and stuff like that. Like, Olivia's literally looking on Google, is like, I have no idea what this is all about. And then you have Lemuel being like, yeah, I found something about turning semen into hot sauce. And Olivia's like, okay. That's one of those things I just kind of am better off not knowing anything about. We'll pretend like that conversation didn't happen. I was like, that's so fascinating. All the while this is happening, you have the whole Joe and Walker situation. Walker following him to try and check it to get Chewie. Chewie's killed people, dismembered people because their limbs literally laying about, arms and legs. It's kind of interesting what that comes down to, because it's like, at the end of the day for Joe, it's like the fact of the matter is you're not going to get in my way, because either you go to Chewie and he kills you, or you try and kill Chewie. Either way, I'm not going to let that happen, because I like the thing of Walker being like, the fact of the matter is, he's a demon, you know, I experienced what I did. You'll never know what it's like to be a human, to watch your own mother slaughtered before you had her heart ripped out by a demon. But then Joe was like, yes, but you will never know what it's like to love someone for 1,000 years and to be loved in turn. I'm sorry you lost your family, but for me, Chewie is my family. And it's just, when it was all said and done, it's kind of sad that things played out the way they did. I was actually surprised Walker didn't actually go through with it, because Joe even admits in the grand scheme of things, it's like, this is my fault. It's our fault, but it's also a bit chunk my fault for doing this. I broke Chewie's heart, and that led to this whole situation. And to save Walker, to keep Chewie from killing Walker, because on some level Joe does care about him, Joe ended up killing Chewie. There was no even like final words between the moment. It just, he died, which is like even more of a gut punch. And so for him, it's just like Walker is just a constant reminder of like, I might have killed him, but you're responsible for Chewie's death. Like, all this kind of came about because you came to midnight and stuff like that. And it's sad because the reason why Walker didn't kill Chewie is because it's like, I love this. I can't kill the man you love because I love you. So Walker, is he gone? I don't know. Maybe he'll come back around. But we do see that Joe cuts off his wings, which is interesting. Well, I mean, he's already fallen, so I'm wondering, well, is he going to have a similar situation? Is he going to have his wings grow back in some shape or form? Could they grow back after they've been cut off? Like, what will he do from here on out? I mean, it's kind of crazy because those have been his for such a long time. It's like you literally cut off a part of yourself like that, because it's like, I guess because in his eyes, it's like, I don't deserve them. You know, it's like lose what. I mean, it doesn't take away his angel abilities. At least I don't think it does. You know, because it's interesting because the whole thing about Kai taking abilities and stuff like that, but it's like he would never be able to take what makes Chewie half demon or what makes Joe an angel. But it's like maybe cutting off his wings does. Maybe he loses powers. I doubt it, because you kind of need some angel abilities now. But to be fair, we'll kind of have to wait to see like what if Joe's is still intact when this is all said and done. We had the group of Bobo, Lemuel, and Olivia being trapped with Fiji and Patience, so that's a crazy combo in itself. It's actually kind of sad because in the long run, because even Patience made fun of Manfred being like, oh yeah, the fact is you'll never find love. It's like, because it made it seem like Patience was going to be the sacrifice needed for all of this, and it's like, it's so messed up because it's like he lost Creek, and now on top of it all, which once again, it's like the person you had fallen for ended up killing the woman you loved, and now you find out that woman, in fact, not only did she kill the woman you love, but also she's evil herself, and that's a whole complicated thing. What's even more messed up is apparently Manfred's supposed to be basically the body vessel for her brother's head. Essentially, like the necklace is supposed to chop off his head and make it so that her brother's head can be attached, which I immediately remarked upon hearing that. Isn't that weird? Because you've had sex with Manfred, and it's like, I don't care. That's going to be your brother's new body. I guess you don't see anything weird with that? Okay. I mean, to be fair, this is from the author who wrote the Sookie Stackhouse books, which I don't know how crazy the books are in comparison to the TV show True Blood. True Blood got weird in certain regards, so it's like, and this is coming from the same mind, so I'm like, should I be too surprised that Midnight Texas is kind of as weird as it? I mean, to be fair, it's on NBC, so it's not going to nearly go as crazy and as wild as certain aspects in, like, True Blood, obviously, but it does make you wonder. The big question now going forward is, like, where did we go from here? You know, like, is there any way to get Fiji back to the way she was before? And even if you did, that means that the curse would still be affecting her if she goes back to caring about Bobo. I mean, no wonder like Fiji would want to help her, because it's like, oh yeah, like Patience and Theophilus are your ancestors essentially. So then there's the whole Delilah thing. It makes you wonder, is Delilah around and kicking and stuff like that, since there's all of this. We haven't, over the course of the series, we haven't met any Delilah witches, so I'm wondering, are they going to come into all this situation because they need to stop Theophilus and his sister? Some very, very crazy turn of events, and I'm very interested to see where all of this takes us going forward into the next episode. We are nearing the end of the season, 3 more episodes after this, so I'm interested to see where this all ends up heading. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good